response theory is sometimes called reception theory. So a theory which focus attention on reader and the process of reading instead of, like in the past you see that focus of attention is more on the writer, like biographical criticism, also moral criticism. Moral criticism is a theory seeing that the moral or wisdom of the story coming, of course, from the wisdom of the writer is the most important thing in literature. And just now, before psychoanalysis, you see the focus of attention is more on the text itself. Yeah, so the beauty of the text lies in the beauty of the form of the text. Yeah, like the elements of the text, for example, the plot of the text, yeah, or the point of view of the text, or the character and characterization of a text, or others like component of a text, like symbolism, yeah. Okay, so today we are going to learn the other focus of attention. Yeah, if you remember the map that I introduced to you at the beginning of the class, is in the bottom. Yeah, it is in the bottom. The reader response to a text. So, reader response criticism is a group of approaches to understand literature, emphasizing the roles of reader in creating the meaning and experience. So in the past, reader and reader's role is not seen as important. Yeah, reader is only the receiver of the meaning of a text. Yeah, so it is not important. Yeah, the most important thing was, yeah, the text itself. For example, new criticism said that. So objectivism was the main important aspect of new criticism. In reader response, however, what is more important is not the objective aspect, but the subjective. So the subjectivity of the reader, or what the reader think, is very important. Okay, so it also refers to a group of critics who study not literary work, but readers or audiences responding to the literary work. So you assume that particular text is good because the character is good. No, yeah. What will determine the beauty of the text or the power of the text is how the reader see it. Yeah, how the reader receive it. If the reader think that it is bad, yeah, Shakespeare is bad. Sorry, Romeo and Juliet is bad. Is It is up to the reader, yeah, if they want to see that. If they don't see anything interesting in Romeo and Juliet, it is fine, yeah. Yeah. So reader response theory give more appreciation to the reader and reader respond, the response of the reader. So reader response theory recognize the reader as an active agent. Yeah. So reader is not just passive receiver. Yeah. Like you as reader. Yeah. You are not just passive receiver. Yeah. You can articulate your opinion. You can state what you feel about particular text. You could even say that Romeo and Juliet is an ugly text. Yeah, as long as you are responsible to what you say, as long as you could give a good explanation why you say that Romeo and Juliet is rubbish, for example. So it argues that literature should be reviewed as a performing art, and in which its reader creates. Yeah? So for a long time, yeah, a writer has been seen as the creator of a text. Yeah? But for reader response theory, the creator of the text also is reader. Yeah? Why? Because reader, when he read a text, also work hard, yeah, to create what is missing in the text. So he is not passive but is active in giving information, and which information is the one that is not provided by text. As you know, I have ever explained to you that text is never complete. There are always gaps in text. So who is making the gaps full? Readers. So readers are not passive. They are also performing by giving information, especially the missing information from the text. So the father of reader response theory is Wolfgang Iser in around 1978. He created this theory. It does not concentrate exclusively on works of the past. It examines the reader's role in literature. Without him or her, there would be no literary text at all. So, reader, like as I said, is also creating and also giving information. Without them, without the role of reader, the activation of reader, there is no literary text. It's very extreme, but this is what Wolfgang Iser say. Literary texts do not exist in bookshelves. They are processes of signification materialize only in the practice of reading. So unless the reader materialize it in the process of reading, then text is only hanya kertas yang tidak bermakna It is the reader who give meaning to the text. For literature to happen, the reader is quite vital as the author. Jadi you see that it has been a kind of shifting from seeing author. In the past, the author was written in A capital, author. The authority, the one who give the authority is author or writer. No, according to Wolfgang Iser, reader is also quite vital. Jadi pembaca itu juga vital. Jadi jangan berasumsi bahwa the one powerful in text is author. So readers are all the time engaged in constructing hypotheses tadi because texts are full of gaps, so it should be filled, and who is the one responsible for filling in the gaps, filling in the missing link, it is the reader. So reader making implicit connection and drawing inferences and test the hunches or the intuition of the text. So once again, a reader is very vital and the role is very important to make the text complete and the meaning complete as well. So the text itself is really no more than a series of cues to the reader, invitation to construct a piece of language into meaning. Jadi sama tadi jadi hanyalah series of cues kalau tidak ada reader yang di-invite to construct a piece of language into meaning. Jadi reader concretizes membuat teks itu menjadi lebih komplit dan lebih konkret dalam sastra itu. Jadi without the continuous active participation of the reader, there would be no literary work at all. Ini kan sangat ekstrim There is no literary work without the continuous active participation of the reader. So don't think that yourself when you read are not active when you read are not playing role you play very important role. So the work is full of tadi sudah dikatakan the work is full of gaps tadi or in Iser it is called indeterminacies element which depend on their effect upon the reader's interpretation. Jadi reader interpretation itu sebetulnya adalah mengisi yang hilang atau yang missing tadi, yang tidak determine jadi yang indeterminacy tadi yang tidak jelas, ambigus, itu yang mengaktifkan atau making meaning atau membuatnya lebih jelas itu adalah reader gitu. Jadi makanya the process of reading is always dynamic. Jadi ketika Anda membaca itu, it is a very dynamic one and It is different from reader to other reader. Jadi bagaimana ambiguities ya, or something implicit ya in the text ya, something missing, no information, atau something yang tidak bisa ditebak atau deadlock dan lain sebagainya itu cara mengisinya menjadi berbeda dari orang ke orang ya kan, kemampuan mengisi dan capability to give the atau fill in the gap is very different from person to person. That's why the response theory never agree to single meaning. Dia tidak pernah setuju pada one single meaning. Just completely different from new criticism. Kalau new criticism itu karena yang dibaca sama, and then the way you read is also the same ya, and close reading ya, caranya kan cuma close reading aja, and you don't bring any other text to the reading or to complete the reading, so the result is one single meaning. Jadi resultnya bahkan extremely new criticism say that there is only one single meaning that will be the same when and where you read, whether you read it 3 months ago or today when you read it in United States or here or in Thailand, the same result will occur ya. In the response in one class of 30 students ya, with different way of filling the gaps, the result will be 30 meanings. Itu ekstrimnya seperti itu ya. Jadi there is no single meaning in reader response. That's why multi-interpretation is possible, and not only possible, it is what always happen. So the literary work itself acts merely as a set of schemata. Ya. Jadi every reader itu has his or her own schemata. Schemata itu apa? Adalah pre-understanding. Pre-understanding which depends on ya. Jadi your schemata ya. Siapa? Tias schemata, Agnes schemata, Farid schemata are different because of the history that he or she experienced, education, also religion, maybe belief, social upbringing, and then environment, and also the history of reading. Jadi itu semua membangun skemata sehingga itu menciptakan kemampuan atau the capability to fill in the gaps. That's why Taufik's reading, or Agnes reading, or Tia's reading will be different because of the influence of the schemata. And the schemata itu is a long history ya. Jadi sejarahnya lama dan panjang ya. Kalau bacanya sedikit ya kemampuan filling the gaps-nya juga sedikit. Kalau bacanya banyak biasanya semakin mampu ya. Membangun kemampuan itu adalah melalui banyak hal ya, dari education-nya ya, kemudian habit-nya juga, hobinya juga, kemudian intertextuality-nya juga gitu ya. Jadi itu. So as we read on, we shed assumption. Jadi ketika membaca biasanya we shed assumption, revise beliefs ya. Jadi Anda juga sebenarnya ketika membaca itu yang kemarin sudah kamu mengerti akan dikoreksi lagi. Oh ternyata gini loh ya. Oh ternyata gini tuh. Oh, aku dulu nggak ngerti ini. Ketika membaca kemudian ada gap, Anda fill in the gap provided by the text. Kemudian itu menjadi pembacaan baru gitu ya. So make more and more complex inferences and anticipation. Jadi Anda sebenarnya selalu menginferensi gitu ya. Each sentence opens up a horizon which is confirmed, challenged, or undermined by text. Jadi by the next. Jadi setiap kali kita membaca sebetulnya Anda selalu membuat inferences, anticipation, ya. Kemudian new horizon. Jadi hal-hal yang tadinya sudah dipercaya jadi dikonfirmasi ulang dan seterusnya. Itu menjadi proses pembacaan yang tidak pernah statis ya, jadi sangat dinamis. That's why the more you read, the more you are hunger of other reading biasanya. So the most effective literary work of Iser is one which forces the reader into a new critical awareness. Jadi selalu ada new critical awareness of his or her customary codes and expectation. The work interrogates and transform the implicit belief we bring to it. Ya. Jadi tadi ya, jadi selalu ada transformasi di dalam membaca. Jadi implicit belief we bring to it itu di disconfirm by habits of perception, and so forces us to acknowledge them for the first time for what they are. Ya. Jadi itu tadi. Jadi reading itu sebetulnya adalah reconfirmation of ideas or of opinion. And also reconfirmation and reactivation of your schemata sebetulnya. So the whole point of reading is that it brings us into a deeper self-consciousness, catalyzes a more critical view of our own identities. That's why reading is seen as very important. So why? Because it brings to deeper consciousness. Ya. Jadi selalu ada new things that you learn, not necessarily the information from the text that you read, but also the way, the skill that is the skill of filling the gaps tadi. Jadi sangat luar biasa. Jadi a new critical awareness juga ada di situ. So it is based on a liberal humanist ideology. Jadi memang historically reader response theory itu lahir ya dari apa yang disebut ideologi humanis liberal ya. A belief that in reading we should be flexible and open-minded ya. The more you are flexible, the more you are open-minded, the better your reading is, because then otak kamu itu selalu menerima yang baru, mudah mengulangnya dan membangun skemata baru. Dan skemata baru ini yang akan menjadikan your experience in the new reading itu menjadi stronger gitu ya, menjadi lebih kuat ya, karena kemudian you allow ya, prepare to put our belief into questions ya. Jadi kamu tuh terbuka untuk pertanyaan-pertanyaan ya, dan transformation. Jadi ketika membaca itu pertanyaan-pertanyaanmu kamu jawab sendiri, oh ternyata ini, kamu generate sendiri ya. Kemudian itu adalah juga transformasi Anda secara apakah knowledge-nya, juga skill of reading-nya. So a reader with strong ideological commitment is likely to be an adequate one, since he or she is less likely to open the transformative power of literary text. Jadi kalau seseorang itu terlalu resistan ya, karena tidak terbuka tadi ya, not open-minded ya, resistan terhadap new information and new ideological commitment, maka dia akan less open-minded dan karena less open-minded jadi less transformatif. Jadi transformasi Anda juga akan menjadi lebih sedikit gitu ya. Jadi look at how powerful is reading ya, so it could be a transformative power. Ini juga one of the scholar in reader response theory, Roman Ingarden ya. Roman Ingarden 1931 say that the text for Ingarden comes ready equipped with the interdeterminacy tadi ya, sama ya dengan Iser ya, and the reader must concretize it correctly ya, tadi sudah sama. This rather limit to the reader's activity, reducing him at times to little more than a kind of literary handyman. The reader must link up the different segments and strata of the work in a proper fashion. Saya kira idenya hampir sama dari Wolfgang Iser. Ini juga ya, tadi saya nggak harus menjelaskan semuanya ya. So according to Paul Sartre, a writer may not have a mind, a particular kind of reader at all. He may be superbly indifferent to who reads his work, but a certain kind of reader is already included with the very act of writing itself as an internal structure of the text ya. Jadi pembaca itu bisa memiliki perbedaan pendapat karena gap yang disediakan. Juga ada Stanley Fish ya, sama nanti dibaca sendiri ya. Jadi tadi sama ini ya, jadi ada kinds of reader response, ada individualist. David Bleach itu salah satu yang introduce individualist reader response theory ya, fokus upon the individual reader experience. Kemudian ada experimenters and investigate how readers accept meaning, bagaimana readers dalam kelompok yang sama ya. Uniformist ya, assume fairly uniform response by reader ada. Jadi meskipun berbeda, kalau tadi kan saya katakan 30 students in one class might have 30 different kinds of meaning or reading. Tapi kalau menurut ini uniformist itu ada kelompok yang, jadi meskipun berbeda tapi tidak akan se ekstrim yang individualis gitu ya. Jadi bisa saja respon itu kurang lebih sama. Karena apa? Karena you are more or less educated in similar gitu ya, similar way or similar school, similar religion dan seterusnya, yang membuat skematanya tidak extremely or completely different. Oke, jadi juga ada psychological tadi yang saya katakan dalam psychoanalysis itu ini. Reader psychological experience as they read particular text. Jadi dalam psychoanalysis itu juga ada bagaimana interpretasi itu sangat tergantung juga pada kondisi psikologis dari pembaca tersebut. Text of phenomenal article entitled The Death of the Author ya. The Death of the Author is an article by Roland Barthes saying or telling that when a writer publish a text then the writer die. Why? Because he is not anymore influential ya. Jadi yang penulis itu sudah tidak perlu digubris gitu katanya gitu ya. With the death of the author, the reader is born ya. Dengan kematian penulis maka pembaca lahir gitu ya. Pembaca lahir untuk mengambil alih pimpinan gitu. So the reader is now leading the text. He is the one, or the reader is the one who will give meaning to the text. Yang akan memberi makna itu sekarang adalah the reader. So the reader, this emphasize the importance of reading. So now I will give you example of how you do reader response theory. So because the reader is important, now when you analyze a text, like Rose for Emily, for example, so what you have to analyze is of course the text itself, but then the other text that you have to analyze is the response of the reader towards Rose for Emily. Yeah, so you will have to ask some readers or a group of readers or two groups of readers to give response, namanya reader response, to give response to Rose for Emily. So your analysis will, combine the text. You read the text, of course, you read Rose for Emily, you understand the structure, you understand the element, you understand the value, you understand the message in Rose for Emily. But that, what about the response of the reader? So you will have a list of questions to your reader. So you will do interview, maybe you will do questionnaire, is okay too. It depends on the amount of reader that you're going to interview. If you interview 100 readers, then of course you will not interview. I mean, if you have a respondent of 100 readers, you will not do a very deep interview. Yeah, it will kill you. Yeah, but what you can do is to have a questionnaire. So some questions you list, and then you will ask the readers to, to answer the questions in your questionnaire. Okay, if you deal with only amount of reader like 5 readers or 3 readers or even only 2 readers, a boy and a girl, for example, then you will do interview or even in-depth interview. So your analysis will come from, yeah, your own analysis on the text and compared to the response of the reader or the analysis or interpretation of the readers. It depends, yeah. If you do a major, major, massive readers, yeah, a big amount of readers, 100 or even 1,000 readers, yeah, then you will do it using a question. But if not, that you could do in-depth interview. Okay, so that's a kind of introduction to reader response theory. I hope next week we will have more discussion because we have